Oh my goodness. I probably should change it to just chatting, but nah. We're just gonna talk about Bioshock. That's all. That's all. We're gonna talk about them Bioshocks. I can talk about it for hours, but you see, I actually want to add this to my commentary, I guess. So, the, um, so Bioshock itself is it's definitely one of the like it looks great. Its style kind of holds up, even though it was in the what do you call the modern consoles? The third generation of the modern console, I guess. Like PS3, Xbox. Was it Xbox 360? Was that Bioshock? Or was that the original Xbox? Um, at the same time the PS3 came out, it was the Xbox 360, I believe, because Xbox Live came out at that time. I remember Bioshock 2 came out with online because that's what every game had. Every game had an online component back then. You had to have it. It was strange if you didn't have an online component. Like, just ask Ratchet and Clank. So, um, a so the story about Jack. The main character is Jack, and you're except for the lines in the beginning where it says, "Son, you're born to do great things," and you know what? She was right, and that's pretty much all he says. And for unknown reasons, you drop into the ocean, and because of a plane crash. So you don't know why the plane has crashed yet, but spoilers. You actually took down the plane yourself by killing the pilot, so you could crash into the ocean. There's got to be easier ways to do it, I guess. I don't know. Like, there's got to be easier ways. I don't know if you're allowed to get a boat. I guess a plane is faster and cheaper. I don't know. But either four ways, that'd be less dangerous. Like, really? You're gonna go, okay. This is the time they didn't. I know it's in a pre 9/11 world. They didn't check, especially like pre like terrorism. Like there wasn't even a SWAT team yet in cops and all that stuff. So they definitely wouldn't check you for a gun or check your packages. Like, that's your property. They don't have a right to it. There are ways to transport weapons and stuff on airplanes. You're just not allowed to keep it with you. You're not allowed to carry a gun on the plane. But you can have your gun in the packaging in the back, like in your luggage, just not with you anywhere near you or whatever. Even though I've never been on an airplane before. Oh, never mind. I've been on one airplane. That's about it. But Sarah, whatever. Um, so doing that, Jack doesn't really remember him doing all that stuff to the airplane. So you're stuck in the same shoes as him, really. You discover the city, like it says, no gods, no kings, only man. Which is pretty much was his. It's built by Andrew Ryan, as it says in the Bathysphere. Um, Andrew Ryan thought up of the place. He thought up to build it. He had, I guess, he had the resources to do it. But I don't. How did he get those resources? We don't know. Maybe he was like, he was wealthy in the Industrial Revolution or something. Because this takes place in 1948 or something like that. Or something in that era. Because they have Tommy guns, so it must be during like Al Capone's day. Back when unions were roughhousing people. And it actually starts out like a horror game because you're left on your own and I've heard some people saying like I can't get past the first level because it scares me, and I'm like, really? Okay, okay. Like, you gotta grow up. Be a big boy now. So, meet this guy named is his name not Atlas? What is his name? Um, there's Andrew Ryan and Fontaine. There's Fontaine. Then there's what's his alias? Well, his name is Atlas, but he calls himself by another pseudonym. He's some kind of Scottish, um, I guess I don't know, like refugee. It's hard to tell. So he goes off and pretty much tells you what to do. He's your mission giver, I guess. And there's reasons for that because he one of the biggest twists in the game is this guy controls you through verbal commands, but the game sort of tricks you in that way because when someone tells you to do something in the game, you go do it. Why would you not? You know, it's like there's text on screen, you do it, or else you can't progress through the game. They take that element and they say, okay, he's making you do this by verbally commanding you to do everything after the words like "may would you kindly," which by the way, that's not throughout the game. Because in the flashbacks, it's like, would you kindly do this? Would you kindly do that? Would you kindly do this? And I'm like, that never happened. I could play back the footage. It doesn't say that, you know? But still, the whole idea is that would you kindly is your trigger word because he put that into your brain as you are a sleeper agent that's triggered by a word. Kind of how like in Black Ops you are triggered by a sequence of numbers, and you unleash the Nova Gas in the United States. So, unknowingly to you as a player though, this is just it's a video game. Go do it. Shut up. But just like with Dark Souls, which is kind of funny how much Dark Souls and Bioshock actually share in common when it comes to explaining the mechanics of the game, and it shares its universe. Oh man, I messed that up big time. That's why I'm going to do off the cuff. It has explanations for everything that happens to you. For example, in Dark Souls, the reason why you keep coming back is because you have the dark sign. You're the undead. You cannot really die. And you show up at the bonfire because that's where the sun comes from. That's where the fire is. And in this game, I didn't die really. But they have this thing called Vita Chambers. Vita Chambers revives you and brings you back to life when you die. Now, the only reason you can use them and nobody else can is because you have lineage to Andrew Ryan. You share his DNA because you are his son. So, you know. So pretty much throughout the whole game, Atlas is controlling you. And you already know that. I know. But he's actually... he tells... I'm not saying actually. Why did I say that? He tells you that you need to rescue his kids and his wife, and we'll go out together. You know, we'll just say goodbye to this place. And the only reason you go down the rapture in the first place is because you're straight out in the middle of the ocean and there's a lighthouse. You're like, oh, good, it's a lighthouse. and then you're transported to Rapture, and all of a sudden you're being attacked by crazy psychos called splicers. Splicers is the name they give them because they have spliced their DNA, and when you do that, it comes with certain consequences. You get powers, but you see, they're also controlled by a. But there seems to be pheromones in the air that Andrew Ryan controls, the mass public, So that's why everybody attacks you. That's why they attack sort of each other. They've gone crazy. Or the other reason is because they spice themselves so much they don't really think as human beings. But yeah, that's why they sort of don't really attack each other, really. But they do sort of verbally abuse each other. when it comes to transitions are hard. So when you finally get to the point where you get to save his family, the pod, which the escape, they call them bathyspheres. Like, okay, and they mass produce those, and they which let you travel from place to place, because under the ocean you have to have corridors connecting places, or you have to do it by bathysphere. The way you do it by bathysphere is that you probably go in and out from building to building, and that's how people would travel. But when you get there, they have restricted travel for the bathysphere. It is illegal because something's going on, because there seems to be some kind of civil war between somebody who's presumed dead and Andrew Ryan. And as we know now, that Fontaine is alive and he's controlling you. And so when this family, in big quotations, dies, he's like, he wants revenge, and he uses you as a tool. Which I'm like, you have no reason to kill Andrew Ryan except his say so. It's like, yeah, it sucks your family's dead, but now I don't really have a reason to trust you anymore. But he does give you a sort of reason to go along the journey. He says, like, as long as Ryan is in charge, you won't be able to get out. So kill him. Which is kind of weird. But still, it seems like Ryan's not a reasonable person. He's not really reasonable. Because he keeps trying to kill you. In fact, he thinks you're from the CIA or Spetsnaz or whatever, and he's like, and then he figures it out. It's like, wait a minute, you're not here to kill me, but you're not looting the place really, and you didn't try to sneak out. Like, what is going on? Who are you? Like, and then he begins to like figure it out. I think because by the end of it, I think he does recognize you as the guy who was genetically altered. Especially when you grow at a significant rate. You could be like 3 years old. Who knows? But by the good ending, you do see yourself get old enough to see all the pretty much adopted daughters be by your bedside during your probably your last days, and they look wrinkly by their hands. So I guess you age normally after a certain amount of time, or it's because you DNA'd you spliced yourself. So I wonder if that de-aged you. I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to answer the questions. or trying to think of them, trying to think of answers. So you finally, after all that stuff going on, um, Andrew Ryan tries to get rid of the air by killing the forest that's under the water because air has to come from somewhere, and so um, he pretty much tries to poison the entire place. In fact, Andrew Ryan kills the owner of the place, and you have to create a way to counteract it. And so you do. I'll just do. Let's do that. I'll put my foot on this thing. Woo. The So you create the antidote with the help of Fontaine or Atlas. He's always giving you that precious advice that you need. Oh man. And so I'm pretty much going through the plot, but really it's still worth talking about because it sort of gets lost whenever you start to play it. But the other part of Bioshock that people sort of underlook is how the smallest details, like you find like in this level here, the hatchery, the fish hatchery. You can go down to a certain area and you find a tortured victim, and they're trying to make him spill the beans on where Fontaine is, because he's still a myth, but obviously he's not a myth. But people think he might be still alive, so Andrew Ryan sends people out to torture them. And you find the corpse, you find a tape, or like you find a audio track about how one of the little girls was taken from a family, and you find they have they took some pills to kill themselves because they couldn't stand having their little girl be taken from them. Like it's a harsh game. And I have no idea. Like, sometimes you'll find dead cats. I don't know why there's dead cats, but they're there. And I'm like, why do you have dead cats everywhere, game? I mean, can we make it dead dogs too? I guess. I don't know. Would cats really like it down there? Where it's wet all the time? Like, another thing about Rapture is like, it's mentioned in audio logs that this place leaks all the time and it needs maintenance constantly. And so there's not enough people to repair it, because you have to remember what his sales pitch is of Andrew Ryan is that you can make it here. I mean, you can make it in Rapture, but no, not but you can make it in Rapture because there's no constraints on what you can do. Like, it is, what if businesses weren't held to a standard, at all? Pure capitalism, which is not really a good thing. But still, even like every system has its downs and lows, and some things need to be tightened up, some things need to be loosened. It takes time to build up a system, but they just decided to heck with it. We're just gonna make it all legal. Doesn't matter what it is. It's a bad practice. Like, it's a really bad business practice. Because there's a doctor that thinks everyone is ugly, so he works on people to death because he can't make them beautiful. There's an artist who kills if they don't do things that he thinks are acceptable. He has a passing fancy of everybody he meets. He dips people in wax and puts them in and like, this is probably something you would find in The evil within. This artist is oh my gosh, he's brutal. So but you also have to remember when everybody can make it their own and thinking about being rich, no one thinks about the little guy at the bottom who has to maintain the place. And some people would be okay with that, but if you're going to go down there for your dream come true, getting rich, yeah, it's probably not going to happen because you because you're how are you going to make money if you don't have a if you just don't have a skill or if you're not allowed to use that skill. And not only that, people you have to pay to go to the bathroom in here because I mean if you're poor already, well, sucks to be you, I guess. In fact, when you go to living quarters, they are terrible. People sleep in like huge apartment like beds and stuff, and they sleep like they're in a like an orphanage in boxed rooms and everything. And I can see why there was a revolt in Rapture because they're being treated like garbage. Really, if you're not one of the primo people, you're really you're, it's you're garbage. Like you don't count. And the reason is if it's based off only money, then people who have all the money are going to be at the top, you know. But I wonder how long people stay at the top. Do they move up and down like in our society? I don't know. But still, Ryan has specific people working for genetic research and all that stuff. And if you don't know where plasmas come from or how they're used, they found a sea slug on the bottom of the ocean that could change that could change its genetic code, and so they start to experiment with it. And so they invented a whole bunch of new things with it. And so like there's all these bodies with Adam though around that just people could just drain if they wanted to. So who's going to clean up the messes, you know? So and who's going to repair things? So they came up with the big daddy and the little sister. The little sister goes around and drains people their Adam, and then puts it back into some kind of source. And they go back to where they came from, which is that there's a nursery where they probably stay. And then there's the big dads who protect them because the more Adam you have, the more power you have. So yeah, people want to get their hands on that. And the big daddy is really tough. Like he's really, really tough. And there's different kinds of big daddies. And I love the ad for Bioshock 2. It was really great. That guy who took down the big daddy is in that commercial is dead. He is dead. They really did make the Big Daddy one of the scariest things ever, even from that commercial. Because I remember the commercial, I'm like, I don't want to mess with that thing. Are you saying I have to fight it now? Crap. So, anyways, you finally get the Angel Ryan through a convoluted ways of going through, and man, I don't know if I'm just out of it or what. So you finally get to the guy, and he finally realizes that you are probably his son, and he starts to and he knows like he can't raise his hand against you, even though he could because he knows the phrase, but he can't. As heartless as Ryan is, he's not going to he's not going to kill you. I don't know if that's his fatherly instincts or he feels responsible for what he did. There could be a number of reasons, but Andrew Ryan is not a kind man. Let's say that much. So he gives this really good speech, and everyone who sees it remembers the one phrase of a man chooses, a slave obeys, and it's not exactly wrong. Because if you are an individual, you choose about what you do. If you are a slave, then you let others decide for you. And since you were ordered to kill by Fontaine to kill Andrew Ryan, you do so with a golf club. And I'm like, huh, golf club. Just like Abby in The Last of Us 2. But that's the worst game. So yeah, and you have to put the new genetic card into the so Fontaine can have control of it. Because you're ordered to, for one thing. And another is to shut down the self-destruct. And I'm like, are you gonna let I want to let myself self-destruct. I don't care if it would happen to be something else. But yeah, he ends up trying to kill you and you escape. Now, depending on what you did with the little sisters, that's where the morality sort of comes in. Because you are always on self-defense. But the morality comes in when you have to choose what to do with the little sisters. You either absorb all their atom, which gets rid of the little sister, it destroys them, or you save them and get less. You get 1/3. I don't remember what the bad version is like, but I'll be glad to look that up. Because that's something I'm curious about. So anyways, now that the veil has been taken off, you are now dealing with Atlas, or Fontaine now. I forget his other name. But yeah, so you go through, and he has all this atom, which he gets. He's super strong. He burns everything, and you have to chase him a little bit. You have to, and then you go to the final confrontation, where it's actually a little disappointing boss fight because he looks cool. He looks like the Atlas statue, which is interesting. Oh, sorry. Mia burped. And so he gets stabbed by all the little sisters. All of a sudden they come in. I'm like, how come there's like these little portal things for little sisters like everywhere? And I'm like, why would they be in certain areas? I guess luckily that they're in there. And so they drain him of all his atom as they stab him to death. And so depending on what you've done with your morality, you get one of two endings. And one of them you take control of Rapture with an iron fist, and the other one you just leave it to its demise. And Bioshock 2 actually, I think takes after the good ending, because you just kind of leave it to its demise. Whereas the in the other one you would be in charge, and so Sophia Lamb wouldn't be in charge. Okay. Um, I don't know. Like, here's the thing about. It's probably I mean, the gameplay is basic. I hate to say it, but it's not as good gameplay wise when it comes to Bioshock 2 or Bioshock Infinite. But the choices you have in Bioshock 1 and in Bioshock 2 are way more what you have in Bioshock Infinite. You can play however you want in like, but your playstyle. I mean, like, I don't know. There's very little ways you can actually. You can use different powers, yes, but there's some that are effective than others. So I don't know why would use some of the other powers sometimes, but they have uses, I'm sure. But um, oh yeah, hacking, yeah, hacking, the hacking minigame, yeah. Choose a square. I have no more water. Huh. And that minigame, you take one tile, you take to another tile, and then you connect into like a pipe puzzle. And in the way, you have to do it quickly, or else you get hurt if you fail. Or if you run into an alarm tile or a security tile, then, well, better find a bot shutdown really quickly because for 60 seconds, you have to deal with bots. It's, I mean, I'm not really selling it right now, but here's the thing. If you want to get everything out of Bioshock then to make it the masterpiece it is, you really have to pay attention to every audio log and every piece of lore that you're given. But here's the thing. You're probably thinking, well, that's a lot of work to do. Not really. It just so happens to be in the game. You can play the game and listen to audio logs. That's it. And if you want to explore, you are rewarded for exploration every time. It is a game which, again, like Dark Souls itself, it's only as deep as you make it. And I mean that in a way that doesn't mean like if you don't pay attention to the story in Final Fantasy VII, you know, um, then it's not deep or something. No, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean at all. What I mean is like it doesn't. The story does not force it upon you as a player. If you're just there to have fun, go through it. You can do that. It doesn't force the story down your throat, and that's what makes it really good. The only parts that the reason why the cutscenes are so impactful is because of they're very rare. The rest of the story is done through visuals, how everything looks, through the dialogue of the people, through the audio logs, through descriptions. If you want to know what something is, you look at it and you press a button. Yeah, I mean it's really really good. I mean it's a masterclass of storytelling and even acting, even voice acting. I think it's holds up very well. Sometimes it can be a little corny, but it just adds to this sort of 1940s atmosphere, especially when it comes to the way the levels look. The graphics still hold up. It has this style of it kind of reminds me of Batman the animated series. And it has this gothic aesthetic, 1940s aesthetic of Chicago. You know, Art Deco, I guess, but not Art Deco. It just has that Untouchables feel, and which is like sort of like when what the weapons are. Like you have a Tommy gun, a pistol, a shotgun, and then he goes for like the major ones, which is like a grenade launcher. Which, by the way, when it comes to a grenade launcher, why did that guy give it to you and then try to take it away from you whenever you walk into his fishery? Like, sure. Good job. And he's like, I'm gonna get those snappies. I'm gonna get those snappies. I don't know why. But man, I am drained on subject matter. What I mean is, my commentary on the game when I did it is not that great. But trust me, it is worth a playthrough. Even if you don't think the gameplay is terrific, you can maybe a little bit slow at times, but it is a slow-paced game that wants you to look at it. Everywhere you look, there's something to notice. Yep it. So anyways, that's my rant on Bioshock. Pick it up and play it. It's if you want to just enjoy the story and just look around and stuff, do it on easy. And listen to every audio log. And it is worth your time. It is a masterpiece of a game. So let's see. Let's see the people.